Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. Today we're going to focus on Divine Masculine insights. I've been getting some feedback from you guys that it's useful and it's just a little bit of a different format, so I'll keep it on a more or less regular basis, and that way you get maybe a little bit shorter reading but a little bit more of depth towards what is happening on the Divine Masculine journey at this time. And since a lot of us don't really have that insight, that it's helpful to understand how to navigate this journey. Okay, I'm gonna dive right into it. So I'm gonna use the Cosmic Journey Oracle. I'm gonna pull actually a card for each of the twins, and then with tarot I'm gonna dive deeper into what's happening with the Divine Masculines energetically on the spiritual path, and what are they thinking about, what action are they taking consciously, and also what are the next steps, or what is the expected outcome from based on what is currently happening. Why is this happening, basically? Okay, and at the end I'm gonna pull some messages from Divine Masculines to Divine Feminines. All right, let's see what we have for Divine Feminines. First of all, a card of advice, please. If you missed yesterday's readings, I did 3 separate readings based on how much communication do you have with your twin flame. So make sure to check those out. Whatever suits you, you may check out all of them just in case. Especially if the title drives you in, draws your attention, seems like something that could be relevant for your story, then there could be a message there for you, even if it's not the whole reading. And just generally speaking, a gentle reminder that it's a general reading, so take only what resonates for you and leave what doesn't. It doesn't have to be the entire thing. It could be a certain part of the reading. It could be a certain idea that will speak to you directly, and you will know that's the message for me. Okay, so for Divine Feminines, we have Wanted, Universe Creators, number 31. I like this Russian dolls. They're kind of, I think they have similar idea in the card, where it's like the universe is encoded in you or something like that. It's almost like, each of the layers, each of the levels of existence has its own structure. It's like its own universe, really. And that's important to keep in mind, Divine Feminine, because you are universe creator. You're very powerful universe creators. We all are people on earth. We all are universe creators. Twin flames, we have a lot more power. So it's almost like, use it well. Be mindful of how you utilize that power. And that starts, like we have here, the cells in your body, then the organs, the body, species, planet, solar system, and galaxy, right? So each of those levels really matters. That means, for example, it matters how you take care of your body, of your health. It matters how you communicate with people around you. What's your community like? What kind of vibe do you exude with people, right? What is your message? Do you take care of the environment? Are you thinking about the global impact and what kind of difference can you make? We have species, right? Maybe you can be more mindful on taking care of other species other than just human beings, right, around you. Take it how it resonates for you, but it just means that there is no small question here. It may seem so, but essentially it's kind of like that system is replicated, and you can make an impact on different levels to bring about certain events and certain outcomes that you desire for. And even if you're making an impact, for example, on the level of body cells, your body cells, right? Probably yours. It still can bring in, if you're making that positive change, causing the transformation, it may bring about like your biggest dream. Why not? Okay, what do we have for divine masculines? Number 3, allow your work to become your art. Yeah, this is the classic, and I think we saw it actually, at least in some of the messages that I looked at yesterday, that divine masculines are kind of like transforming their mindset towards this big and beautiful thing that maybe they tried before and they failed, or this was a childhood dream and it never came true, right? Like for one or another reason they gave up on that, and now it's coming back around, and you can see when like there is like a drawing of a child. It doesn't have to be, but that's immediately the impression that I get, right? So it's almost like that picture from their childhood that they imagine for themselves. It comes back around and they're seeing now much deeper meaning of it. Like it's not so on the surface, it's not so silly, because they have this life experience, right, all these years, and they have this knowledge by now that allows them to connect the dots and to see how important this is, right, and to look at it again, so that, you know, even if it's not 100% what you drew back then in the childhood, but at least you're bringing in that disposition, that approach to whatever it is you're doing right now. Okay, let's see now. What do we have for divine masculine's energy? Spiritual past, what's happening there? We have the Hermit. We'll put some clarifiers. What do we have for the conscious space? The Wheel of Fortune. Also had that yesterday. Actually, I think it was for the feminine energy. What's the expected outcome? Why is this happening? What is the goal? What's the objective for this? Yeah, it's too many cards. Sorry, guys. All right. I hope I will have a proper table to do a reading for tomorrow, where I'll have much more space and the cards are not going to be falling off like that. I have a small table over there, so it's easy for the cards to just fall off. What's the expected outcome? What's the purpose of these dynamics? Page of Wands. Okay, let's get some clarifiers. Yeah, so I was gonna put a table together today, but I realized I lost the screw nuts somewhere, like to literally put it together. So yeah, I'll have to run to Home Depot or some other place, and then the magic will happen. Those things. Thank you. My speakers agree with me. Okay. Please clarify the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, the Lovers. Please clarify Page of Wands. Don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to my channel, to leave a comment. Okay. Page of Wands is clarified by Page of Wands in reverse. Oh well, let's see. So for the soul path and for the energetic space, for the 5D, we have the Hermit clarified by the Fool in reverse. So divine masculines actually have been in that Fool energy. If you remember readings from last week and the week before, that energy was lurking about, the energy of trust and of like traveling lightly. If you remember when we did the movie Terror, there was that image of Tom Hanks from Forrest Gump. Just him with like his belongings in a little bag and a dog, and that's it, right? Like traveling lightly, trusting the universe. We had those topics. This is the part where DMs are now moving on from just blindly trusting to actually consciously. You see, like, to me, this is like the contrast from like just walking wherever the energy takes you to literally like lighting up the lantern to show yourself the way, right? To see where you're going. This is a lot more awareness of that approach. And of course, we're still talking about energetic space here. So it doesn't mean that they're aware, fully aware in 3D, but at least energetically, the energy is a lot more directed towards a certain goal. It's a lot clearer. It has additional nuances to it. So it's not like, yeah, there is a divine plan and I trust it. It is more about understanding what that plan is. And of course, each story is unique, so it will be somewhat different for each of the DMs, for each of the twin couples. But what I'm saying is that at least there is this extra taste, extra flavor that brings clarity, that helps kind of like brings up, it helps turn on the light and see what is actually going on, right? Which gives more freedom and more safety at the same time to divine masculines energetically, because it's like, imagine yourself at night. Let's say you're somewhere in nature where you don't have lights, right? And it's like wild nature, whatever. Maybe not too wild, like, you know, you kind of know the place, but still it's like totally dark. And imagine, speaking of which, we have new moon coming in a week from now. So yeah, there will be a special reading for that. And yeah, it's actually a nice metaphor, because in the new moon, it's like really, really dark at night. So imagine that you're just walking somewhere, kind of have an idea, but you still don't really know. And imagine the difference when you get a flashlight. You turn it on, it's still unknown territory, right? It's still the wild. It's still maybe outside of your comfort zone, unless you actually live in the wild. But at least you can see where you're stepping, and it immediately gives you a feeling of safety, a feeling of being kind of more in control and having more understanding what's happened, where you're going. And that's very important at this point, at this turn of the journey, right? Because that's how the masculines are going to be able to turn their work into art. For the conscious space, we have the Wheel of Fortune clarified by the Lovers. Yeah, so guess what? As soon as this, and the Wheel is actually another card about trusting the divine plan and divine timing. The divine, the conscious space, divine masculines are letting the dice fall. They don't want to push for anything, and it immediately brings in this lovey-dovey energy. And actually, it's not just about the relationship, although it definitely has an impact on the relationship. Like things get easier, right? It's like a smoother ride immediately. But because we're so connected, that of course that energy goes back to the feminine, and it kind of like it impacts both of the twins in a positive way. But the Lovers actually represent the choice of love. And it doesn't have to be just about the twins. It definitely doesn't have to be just about romantic relationship. So that means that actually following the path and like, you know, letting things happen and trusting that everything is happening at the right time allows divine masculines to make more loving choices for themselves and with other people. Can be with their karmic partners, friends and family, I don't know, clients, students, whatever community they are part of, right? They are making more loving choices there towards themselves and towards others involved, which is really creating that magic. And look at this. This card. I love that it has like this purple background. It's almost like igniting the crown chakra for divine masculines. Beautiful. Wow. Yeah. So throat chakra kind of is thrown off. So it might actually be, since I was just talking about the the conscious space, may be difficult for the masculines to actually speak about it. And for some of them, they could be even in denial about the thoughts that they're getting when they're used to be going a certain path or making decisions a certain way. For example, let's say it's a people-pleasing pattern, right? And they go with the group. Whatever their friends are up to, they just follow the group. They feel obligated to follow it for some reason, right? And that's how they've been doing it. And now suddenly they start getting these urges and these nudges that it's not a very loving choice, because, and then, you know, you can continue like, I'm gonna be miserable, or I'm deceiving these people who think that I'm actually enjoying that, but I'm not, etc., right? Like these things start coming up, things that never came up before because it was just an automatic pattern. And sorry guys, I think there's a mosquito somewhere, and mosquitoes just love biting me. You know, it used to be an automatic pattern, and there were no questions, no discussions in their mind, in their head. And now they start coming up. So some divine masculines are even in denial about those thoughts coming up, right? They're trying to push them away. It's not gonna work long term anyway, but it's what's happening now. And it's hard for them to speak about it. So they may be, in that example that I gave, they may be starting to say no to those things that they don't want to do just because the group is asking them to, like because of peer pressure, for example. But there's a good chance that in that example, they will be making up some excuse, like, I don't know, I have a migraine, or have a lot going on tomorrow and an early start, so I cannot do that. Something like that, you know, like they're not gonna come clean that that's what's going on inside. That's why. No, they're gonna come up with something plausible that is not gonna get them in trouble, or people aren't gonna be asking them a lot of questions. There we go. So there is still some blockage on the throat chakra. Why it's, you know, there's some time is needed to heal that, for them to be able to actually speak out loud what is it that's going on inside. So especially for those guys, like if you, and we'll pull some messages, but if you are feeling like your DM is not showing signs of appreciation of their love towards you, divine feminine watching, it's not because they don't, it's just because it's like literally because when we have a blockage, it's very hard to speak from our heart. Like the heart chakra needs to be clear, and the throat chakra needs to be clear for the person to be able to speak sincerely from their heart. It doesn't mean that they're deceiving you, it just means that it's like there's a lot going on inside that they're just not expressing at this time, which is a temporary thing. So just show a little bit of patience and compassion. The possible outcome, we see page of wands, and it's clarified by page of wands. It's my favorite thing that I'm getting in the reading, right? When the card is clarified by the same card. But yeah, what I'm getting here, like this is very masculine energy with the wands, and even with this close for this main card, right? So the outcome is that divine masculine will actually step on that spiritual path, on the path of their dreams and their passion to come true. It's the path, it's this path where the work becomes the art. This is exactly that energy that is about following your passion, realizing your dreams, you know, and artistic expression, right? This is about not, like, to me, this card in reverse means that, like, this is another side of this energy where it can be seen from the distance as something absent-minded or silly or just not serious. And maybe that's one of the reasons why divine masculines have been avoiding this path before, because that's what it looked like to them, and definitely they didn't want to look like that to other people in their life. But now things are turning around, and then as a result of what's going on here, they are going to be able to really see themselves on that path and actually embark on it. To me, this card is like not just I'll think about it, but actually, yeah, I've got my wand, I've got all my outfit, right? And I'm starting the journey, but it's still in the page energy though. So don't expect that they immediately will have it all figured out. No, but at least they will be taking action towards this passion, this dream. And what's more importantly is that we'll have this kind of energy, artistic energy in mind when they do it. So it's not just going to be, okay, I read this in the book or I heard this from this person, so that's what I'm going to be doing. No, it's about having fun with it, experimenting, right? And maybe sometimes doing something different on purpose than what other people have been telling you, right? Especially if you already tried it before and it didn't work out, right? Why expect a different result now? It's like moving away. I'm actually reminded about the classical German philosophy, where one of the principles used to be that, well, it still is. I mean, it's just that it was popular at a certain time, not so much now. But it says that the quantity turns into quality. Like the more you do something, the better you get at it. Something of those, like along those lines, right? And a lot of people of like my generation and around those kind of that age, like our time is, people in their 20s, they are kind of, they're in a different world because their reality have been digitalized a lot earlier in their life. So it's like a completely different universe that they're seeing and variety of possibilities. But for us and somebody like older, it's still a lot about this older sort of old school rules. And one of those rules is that quantity becomes quality, which is not the case at all. It only works, and there's so many studies about it, and you can look it up online. There are TED Talks on it. I know more about it because of the corporate world, and me working as a delivery manager. Of course, this is a very important topic to be aware of and to be well versed in, on how the productivity emerges, how are we becoming successful, because when we work with other people, we're also supposed to be enabling and empowering them to be that, right? To be their best selves, basically, at their job primarily, but still. The human being is a very complex structure. So it only works, this quantity turning into quality works only on relatively simple tasks. As long as we are like, for whatever we're doing, wherever we are building for ourselves as our life, as our careers, our lifestyle, very quickly becomes more complex than that. And that rule doesn't work anymore. So that's what masculines are gonna really learn with this. Okay, let me pull some messages from DMs to DFs and I'm gonna wrap it up. Sorry, it turned out to be longer than I thought, but that's what was coming out. Messages from DMs to DFs. Okay. So we have, I don't feel good enough for you, so I run. I really do want us to work out. Yep. This magnetism between us drives me insane. I'm gonna leave it here. I hope this has been useful to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon. Bye, everyone.